This is Hollywood. Matías Bombal with you. Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures offers their visualization of a real historical event with the finest hours. The story of a dramatic rescue at sea in the most difficult of conditions. Thrilling and realistic in IMAX and in 3D, it's based on Michael J. Tagayas and Casey Sherman's book of the same name. It has nothing, however, to do with the movie about Winston Churchill that Columbia Pictures released in 1964 with exactly the same title. This is the harrowing, true story of an oil tanker that split in half during one of the worst recorded East Coast storms which battered New England in February of 1952. The brave Coast Guard men that risked their lives in a very small craft against 70-foot-high waves to rescue the surviving tanker crew of 30 sailors pitted them against the greatest of odds. Intercutting between the story on the remaining floating portion of the tanker's stern and the men at the Coast Guard station, this movie shows the remarkable possibility of the human spirit. On board what is left of the T-2 tanker SS Pendleton, the men without a captain, who was lost on the forward part of the ship, are torn about what to do, escape by lifeboat or stay on board. The tanker's chief engineer, Ray Siebert, played by Casey Affleck, tries to bring reason to a moment of terror.
That boat is too small for these seas, and this ship will be sunk by nightfall. Every fella here wants to live. The only way that happens is if we run her aground. Now we're gonna set up a launch and look out for a shoal. I need 4 men working the police on the emergency tiller. I need 4 men manning the pumps after steering. The rest of you run a bucket line topside down below. Communicate with the engine room. And somebody keep blowing that whistle.
You heard him, boys!
While these sailors fear that their last moments of their lives are at hand, the Coast Guard is on its way, but not in force, as remarkably, not far up the coast, a second oil tanker has also been split by the weather on the rough seas, and many Coast Guard men in the largest craft had been sent out to that distress call before the closer disaster of the SS Pendleton had been discovered. With less than a handful of men in a small motor lifeboat, timid yet resolute Bernie Webber, played by Chris Pine, risks all to find the SS Pendleton, while faced with the worst conditions in their careers.
Hey! The engine died! I got it! I got it! He died. You got about 5 seconds, boys! Come on, fight up! Maybe Richie's right. Maybe we should just go back. You heard bangs on the radio. We got no compass. We have no way to communicate. You're... What? I won, Richie! I got us out this far, didn't I? I begged your class for nobody else. I did it! We did it, Richie. want to turn back around? No. No, not now. We came too far. We're not giving up on him.
Repeat. Yak attack. Maintain.
Not on my watch.
That was actor Ben Foster across the deck from Chris Pine as they remained determined to reach the men in distress without compass, having barely survived the giant waves crashing on a giant underwater sandbar from multiple directions. Director Craig Gillespie has crafted an excellent and thoroughly entertaining movie that I feel is one of the strongest January releases in recent memory. In a month that is famous for being the month of the year when most of the studios dump the worst of their movies in their release slate, here is something you'll find excellent entertainment. Chris Pine is good, but this movie really belongs to Casey Affleck. I was first impressed by Affleck as an actor in a dismal movie of 2013 called Out of the Furnace, in which his performance was riveting. He took a moment to tell us what attracted him to playing the silent but strong chief engineer of the SS Pendleton.
On the back half of the Pendleton, there were, a bunch of men who were still afloat. The front half of the Pendleton had sunk completely, and that's where most of the officers were. That's where the captain was, and all those guys died. And so the chief engineer, Siebert, that's who I play, he found himself suddenly being the highest ranking man on the ship. He's sort of a mid-level authority, and then all of a sudden everyone else is dead, and he's the guy that they're looking to for guidance and to give orders. And that to me was right off the bat, was a really compelling situation. It was a great character to play. And then from there, I felt like the story of this story and the part of it that's told in the film, it really resonated. It spoke to me about kind of, heroism and leadership, and about kind of, a whole group of men who had never been sort of officers, had never been authorities in any capacity in their life, had to sort of organize themselves and figure out a way to work together so that they could survive.
Mr. Casey Affleck remains one of my favorite actors to watch, and I think he'll only continue to impress us with outstanding work. Also in the movie is the concurrent story of Chris Pine's love interest, played by lovely Holliday Grainger. She turns in a nice performance as the girl that will get her man to marry him in April, come hell or high water. This is a perfect movie to see in the bigger-than-life IMAX experience. Above the bar for a January release, I was thoroughly entertained by the finest hours. You'll want to stay through the credits on this one, as you're shown comparative photos of the actors and the real-life men that they played in the movie, as well as the real images of the actual event. The Motion Picture Association of America has given this a PG-13 rating. This is your pal, Matías Bombal, bidding you a fond farewell.